What up? We back. Welcome to the channel. I truly feel like everybody should know their triggers, whatever they may be. Things that get you angry, things that get you out of pocket, that don't have you feeling comfortable. Everybody should know what those things are. Being able to be in control and knowing your triggers can dictate your reactions. And especially when it comes to relationships, whether or not it affects your partner directly based off of something they did to you, or if it relates to something you're reacting to and your partner is indirectly experiencing whatever it is that you're having an issue with. Like, for instance, I know that when I get very competitive and I'm playing competitive sports, whatever it may be, whether I'm with my friends, intramurals, whatever it is, that I'm going to get amped up with the refs. And the refs, it's not even their fault. Especially in intramurals, they're just students. Like, it's nothing really they can do. But I know I get competitive. I'll be like, yo, ref, you suck. What was that call, bro? Come on. And I'm mad loud. Whole gym knows that I'm that guy, right? But that triggers a little bit of embarrassment for my fiance. So I know when the time comes and I'm supposed to be being competitive and I'm on the floor, I got to make sure that I'm not so reactive to the things that refs do. That's indirectly affecting my partner. And then directly, if she were to piss me off, that's a trigger for me to some degree that gets me to start yelling, which is another issue we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. But knowing your triggers in general, it gives you control of those moments. Whether it be for you simply an avenue for relaxation and being in that much control of it, or even just the simple fact that you're generally aware of the fact that you have that trigger can be enough for you. Now, there's more nuance to this. There's more to all of the entire situation. So it's much easier said than done. And honestly, that journey of figuring out those triggers can go all the way back to your childhood. Matter of fact, think back to your childhood. In general, would you say it was good or bad? That answer is different for everybody because everybody's experienced different things. But just indulge me for a moment. All the memories you can, good or bad? Anything like me, it was relatively good, but just like everybody else, you have your rough moments. They exist for a reason. Mine probably stem from some type of conflict arising that caused me to be upset or caused my emotions to rise, whatever it may be. And it likely involved some type of yelling. I've said before that for me, yelling is a trigger for me and is something that is definitely an avenue for things that I want to avoid, of course. It's ironic, honestly, because for me personally, it is now a trigger. If anybody starts yelling at me or kind of gives me a little bit of disrespect in a raised voice, I'm not taking it. Like, it's beef from there. Obviously, in certain environments, it's okay. Like in football, like I know you're going to get yelled at by a coach. Like that just happens, right? But if you have the right relationship with that person, for the most part, you can kind of let that go. But in my opinion, if you're super close with somebody, when they start yelling at you, I feel like it just cuts a little bit deeper. Like I said, know your triggers. That's just mine. I don't want that for my children. I know how affected I was by it. So that's something that I want to go out of my way to make sure that I don't do. But there may be some things that trigger for them that I didn't even think was a problem. And then perpetually so on and so forth, we just get better and we figure out. And what they'll see as normal is no yelling. But they won't even experience it as now that's a trigger for me. They just won't yell because they grew up in an environment where yelling wasn't normal. When they get their trigger, they'll move on to their children and be like, I don't want to do that. And hopefully me and my fiance, we've been good enough parents that our children can talk to us about it and we can fix it together because that's the ultimate goal. But moving on to their children, they'll be able to make sure they don't do that to theirs and so on and so forth until ideally we get to a point in the world where everybody is extremely happy with everything that's going on. I don't know how realistic that is, but one can hope. But like I said, it's ironic. It's a trigger for me if somebody yells at me, but because I grew up in that environment, it's so normal for me that I'll end up doing it myself sometimes. And it's something I really got to improve upon. Like I've said before, if I raise my voice, suddenly I'm yelling. If I'm passionate about a topic, everybody has different childhood issues. You know, mine just happened to be yelling, but somebody else might feel that comments about their weight really impacted them because they were bullied when they were little. I know people in my experience that I'm not able to walk away from them in an argument because they feel abandoned. Because when they were children, their parents did that when they really needed some type of comfort or security or whatever it may be. Now, do I understand that in any way, shape, or form? No. I grew up as an only child. Being alone was pretty simple for me. You learn how to deal with that. But knowing that this person experiences that, I can choose to double down on it and be an a-hole. But in that instance, why even continue to spend my time around that person if I feel like I just want to be that much of an a-hole to them? Or I can do right by them, which I do now. But I know what they went and they felt comfortable enough with me to reveal that to me. So why would I take advantage of that? I wouldn't. I would listen to what they say and do exactly what they need me to do so that they feel comfortable because I care about them. So just keep that in mind. Everybody was raised different. Everybody experienced different things that we have no clue about. It's the same thing as like, you know, they tell you not to get mad at people who are driving crazy on the road because you have no idea where they're going. Maybe they're late for a funeral, or maybe we can't see it, but they have a pregnant wife in the back of the car and they're racing to the hospital, or they're racing to the hospital and their wife is already at the hospital. Like, You never know what somebody's going through. So try your best to be cognizant and kind whenever you see that. Same thing. You never know what somebody's been through. So if they complain about it, why be the a-hole that doubles down on something that they're clearly frustrated about? Help them heal, help them work through it, and you might have a better relationship on the back end. Ultimately, the more we understand about people, the better our relationships will be, specifically the ones that we have with our significant others. Given you figured out this thing comes from your childhood, I think it's important to make sure that you present the issue you're having in an aware way, if that makes sense. Every partner reacts differently to certain types of info. Mine has been amazingly comfortable with me revealing some of the things that I experienced in my childhood and what I've done not only to get better, but what I still have issues with and experience, and has made me feel so safe in being able to tell her about the things I still feel like I have issues with or the things I'm still trying to get better with. But I definitely know certain partners that I've had that would not have been that forgiving, that would not have been that comfortable with me revealing all that stuff, and it would have made me a lot less vulnerable and want to hide things and not tell them everything that I think I'm going through. So know your partner. Hopefully you have a relationship in which your partner is similar to mine in that she gives you and that your partner gives you the ability to be vulnerable and feel safe in those conversations. But if you're the type of person who's been letting those triggers get the best of you pretty frequently, addressing it in the right way could mitigate the partner who might not be as understanding. So the more detail that you can provide on the situation, the better. So I mean, when you're figuring out where your triggers come from, when you're figuring out what makes things bad for you, you gotta deep dive. You gotta really understand where it's coming from. You gotta really understand why it's an issue for you. And you gotta be open and honest about what the problem was, why it's an issue for you, why it occurs now, and how you want to do better about it. Because like I said, the right partner is gonna help you work through that and help you realize how you can get better in those areas. And I'd also encourage, when you're done with that conversation, ask your partner what their triggers are. Once you're done with your story, ask your partner what triggers them and allow them to go deep dive into that conversation, and maybe even have the conversation as they're doing it. In my opinion, that bonds you even deeper. And obviously the goal is to be as close with that person as you possibly can. So why not do it? I don't know. As I've experienced the life that I have with my fiance, I've realized that knowing as much about her as I possibly can just makes my life easier. I know what type of food she likes when she's at the beginning of her period and then when she's at the end of it. I know what I can and can't do in an argument so that we're still okay after it ends. I know what type of things she likes to do for fun so I can surprise her. And now those are general things that you might say are the bare minimum, but it's hard for people to really know those like the back of their hand. Like if the situation arises ASAP, can you conduct it in a way where that person gets taken care of the exact way that they're thinking? I'm not going to say that that's not true for most people, but in the people that I'm around, that's not always true information. But these types of conversations where you really go deep and you really reveal your heart to somebody and have them reveal theirs to you are where you learn that stuff. And then it's easy to just ponder, think about it, and figure out where you can do those types of things and be better in those types of situations for that person. And a little bit of a pro tip, don't end the conversation in the unhappiness of going that deep, because it can get very emotional. You might even tear up a little bit. I know I have, I know she has. Associate the convo with as much happiness and pleasure as you can. The way I envision that makes the most sense is go out to eat. Like, so for me and her, going out to eat after that deep of a convo and then kind of relaxing through that and talking through it more and getting back to a good place, the pleasure from eating that food associates the brain with having those deep conversations is a pleasurable activity, is a good activity, is something you want to do. If food isn't your avenue, there might be other activities that you could do as well that are probably a little bit more on the pleasurable side that would also serve as helpful in associating the brain with those deeper conversations being pleasurable and more exciting. That's just my opinion. Do what you like, but I think you should do something that is joyful and pleasurable immediately after having those types of conversations, because your brain will just make it more normal and it'll seek it out because it associates that with pleasure. Does that make sense? At the end of the day, happiness in each moment, in my opinion, is the goal. I think Zlatan Ibrahimovic said it the other day. I saw him in an interview with, I can't remember who it was, maybe Piers Morgan or something like that. And he said, what is happiness? He was like, it's not life. He was like, it's moments. He was like, right now I'm happy, but the next moment I could be sad or I could be upset. And then the moment after that, I could be happy again. He was like, so happiness is moments. In my mind, you want to be as happy as you possibly can in every moment, right? Life is going to throw at you what it throws at you. You're not going to always be happy. But if you can maximize the ability to try to be happy in every moment, life becomes generally happy. Go back to your childhood. In general, was it good or bad? It was good, but you had rough moments. But if you can say it's good, you look back on your childhood with happiness, with joy. Same thing you want to do the rest of your life. Make as many moments as you possibly can happy moments. Because if you can continue to stack those moments, life is happy. And it's much easier to make those moments as happy as possible when you've prepared and you've done the work, especially with your significant other or your partner. So remember, be happy. Yeah.